You got a $10,000 raise last year. You were so excited, but somehow you're not saving any more money than you were before. Your bank account looks exactly the same at the end of every month. You're making more, but you're not getting anywhere. And you're sitting there thinking, where is all this money going? Here's the brutal truth. You're not alone. According to recent data from the Conference Board, the average American got a 3.5% raise in 2025. But here's what most people don't realize. After adjusting for inflation and lifestyle creep, most people ended the year in the exact same financial position they started in. And that's not an accident. My name is Netzel, and I spend way too much time thinking about how I can increase my income. If you're someone who is still stuck in the same income, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 money mistakes that are keeping roughly 80% of people trapped in the same income bracket year after year. And look, I'm not here to judge. I've made most of these mistakes myself, but once you see them clearly, you can't unsee them. Mistake number 1, the income increase trap. All right, let's start with the big one. I call this the income increase trap, but you might know it as lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. Here's how it works. You get a raise. Let's say you go from making $50,000 a year to $55,000. That's an extra $5,000 annually, or about $417 more per month before taxes. After taxes, you're probably looking at around $300 extra in your pocket every month. And what do most people do? They immediately upgrade their life. They get a nicer apartment, just $200 more per month because I can afford it now. They upgrade their car payment. They start eating out more frequently. They subscribe to 3 more streaming services. They buy nicer clothes because I need to look professional at this level. And here's the thing. None of these purchases feel unreasonable in the moment. They feel justified. You worked hard for this raise. You deserve to enjoy it, right? But here's what actually happens mathematically. That $300 extra per month, it disappears into 15 different $20 to $50 upgrades that you barely even notice. A study referenced by NPR found that when people get raises, their spending increases almost immediately to match the new income level. So you're making $5,000 more per year, but you're not actually building wealth $5,000 faster. Your lifestyle just got $5,000 more expensive. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look, according to data from Brookings Institution, over 70% of people who start in the bottom or middle income quintiles stay in roughly the same economic position over a 10-year period. They're not lazy. They're not stupid. Many of them are getting raises regularly, but their expenses are rising at the exact same rate as their income. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, you're sweating, you're putting in effort, but you're not actually going anywhere. So here's what you need to do instead. This is critical. When you get a raise, you need to make a decision in the first 30 days before lifestyle inflation can have a chance to creep in. Decide what percentage of that raise you're going to save or invest automatically. I recommend starting with at least 50%. If you get a $300 monthly raise after taxes, set up an automatic transfer of $150 to a high-yield savings account or investment accounts the day after your paycheck hits. Do it before you have time to spend it. Make it automatic. Make it invisible. You still get to enjoy the other $150, but you're also actually building wealth now. You're moving forward instead of just treading water. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Natal, I'll save more for my raises, but what if I'm not getting raises in the first place? And that brings us to mistake number 2, skill stagnation. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The Bureau of Labor Statistics data from early 2026 shows that real wage growth is only about 1 to 2% annually for most workers. That barely keeps up with inflation. For younger workers, JP Morgan Chase Institute found that real income growth dipped to about 2% in late 2025. One of the lowest levels in over a decade. So if you're waiting for your employer to just give you significant raises out of the goodness of their heart, you're going to be waiting a very, very long time. Look, here's what most people don't realize. The real income growth, the 20%, 30%, 50% jumps, doesn't come from annual cost of living adjustments. It comes from either changing jobs or dramatically increasing your value to your current employer by acquiring new high-demand skills. Let me give you some numbers. According to various labor market studies, people who switch jobs typically see salary increases of 10 to 20%, while people who stay put average those 3 to 3.5% raises we talked about earlier. Over 5 years, that's the difference between a 17% raise and a potential 60% raise. But here's the catch. You can only command higher salaries when you have skills that are actually valuable in the marketplace. And most people stop learning new skills the moment they feel comfortable in their job. They learn just enough to not get fired, and then they coast. They do the same tasks the same way for years. They become really, really good at a job that might not exist in 5 years, or that can be done by someone cheaper, or increasingly by AI. Here's what you need to do. Pick one high-income skill in your field, something that's actually in demand, and commit to developing it over the next 12 months. I'm talking about skills like data analysis, project management, coding, digital marketing, sales, public speaking, financial modeling, skills that translate to higher compensation. Spend 5 hours a week learning this skill. That's less than 1 hour per day. Most people spend more time than that scrolling social media. And I'm not talking about random learning. I'm talking about deliberately building a skill that you can prove you have through projects, certifications, measurable results, something you can put on your resume or point to in a salary negotiation. This is how you escape the 3% raise trap. You don't wait for permission to earn more. You build skills that force the market to pay you more. All right, mistake number 3. And this one is going to be controversial because I'm going to challenge something that almost every personal finance expert tells you: the emergency fund fiction. Now, before you click away, hear me out. I'm not saying you shouldn't have emergency savings. Of course you should. But here's the problem with how most people think about emergency funds. They're told they need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved before they can do anything else. And for someone making $50,000 a year with $3,500 in monthly expenses, that's $10,500 to $21,000 sitting in a savings account. And look, if you're living paycheck to paycheck right now, that number is so intimidating that it causes complete paralysis. People think, I can't invest yet. I can't start a business yet. I can't take any career risks yet. I need to save up this massive emergency fund first. So what happens? They either give up entirely, or they spend years building up this emergency fund while missing out on compound growth in investments, career opportunities, or business ventures that could have multiplied their income. Here's what I think is a better approach. Build a starter emergency fund of $1,000 to $2,000 first, just enough to cover small emergencies, a car repair, a minor medical bill, a broken appliance. This takes most people 2 to 4 months if they're intentional about it. Once you have that buffer, start running 2 parallel tracks. Continue adding to your emergency fund, but also start investing in building income-generating skills simultaneously. Why? Because here's what most people don't talk about. The best insurance against financial emergencies isn't a giant pile of cash. It's multiple income streams and high-income skills that make you resilient in the job market. If you have $20,000 sitting in a savings account earning 4% interest, you're making $800 a year. But if you invested half of that money in index funds, averaging 10% returns, and use the other half to build skills or a side business that increases your income by even $300 per month, you're way better off. You're making more money and you're more financially secure because you're not dependent on a single income source. Mistake number 4, the income ceiling mindset. And this is probably the most insidious one because it happens completely in your head. Here's what I mean. Most people have an unconscious belief about how much money someone like them can earn. They look at their job title, their degree, their industry, their geographic location, and they just kind of accept a certain income range as their reality. You'll hear people say things like, well, teachers just don't make that much, or you can't make more than 80K in this city, or people with my background top out around 60K. And look, there's often some truth to these statements when you look at averages, but averages are just that, averages. They represent what most people do, not what's possible. The data. Here's a fascinating stat. According to research on economic mobility, while 80% of people stay in roughly the same income bracket over time, 20% do move up significantly. So what's different about that 20%? It's not usually intelligence. It's not even work ethic necessarily. A lot of it comes down to belief. They believe it's possible for them specifically to earn more. So they look for opportunities that other people filter out as not for people like me. I'll give you an example. Two people work the same job making $55,000. One person thinks, this is what this job pays. This is my income level. The other person thinks, this is my income today. How do I get to $80,000 in the next 2 years? That second person starts looking for opportunities differently. They volunteer for high visibility projects. They ask for stretch assignments. They document their results. They network intentionally. They're willing to have uncomfortable conversations about compensation. And here's the thing, they might fail. They might not get everything they're reaching for, but they'll end up earning $68,000 while the first person is still at $58,000, thinking that's just how it is. This is really important. Your income ceiling is not set by the market. It's set by your belief about what's possible for you, which determines what opportunities you even see and pursue. So here's your action step. Find 5 people who have the income level you want. People who started from similar circumstances as you. I'm not talking about trust fund kids or lottery winners. I'm talking about people who built their income through skills and effort. Study their path, read their LinkedIn profiles, watch their interviews, send them coffee chat requests. Understand concretely how they got from where you are to where they are. This isn't about comparison or feeling bad about yourself. It's about breaking the mental model that says, that's not possible for someone like me. Because once you see the concrete steps someone similar to you took, it stops being abstract and starts being a roadmap. And that brings me to the 5th mistake, the proximity problem. Jim Rohn has that famous quote, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And I know that's become kind of a cliche at this point, but here's why it actually matters for your income specifically. The people around you set your reference point for what's normal. If everyone in your social circle makes $40,000 to $60,000, earning $55,000 feels successful. You're right in the middle. You're doing fine. There's no urgency to change. But if you're surrounded by people making $80,000 to $150,000, suddenly $55,000 feels behind, not in a shaming way, but in a motivating way. You start asking different questions. How did you negotiate that salary? What skills are companies actually paying for? How did you make that career transition? Here's what most people don't realize. Your peer group doesn't just influence your mindset, it influences your information. The people around you are your primary source of job opportunities, business ideas, salary expectations, negotiation strategies, and career advice. If no one in your network has ever negotiated a $20,000 raise, you probably don't even know that's something you can do. If no one in your circle has started a side business that makes $2,000 a month, you don't have a model for how to do it yourself. And look, this isn't about ditching your friends or only hanging out with rich people. That's not what I'm saying. But it is about being intentional about expanding your network to include people who are 2 or 3 steps ahead of where you want to be. According to Pew Research, about 52% of Americans were in middle-income households in 2022, with only 19% in upper-income brackets. But economic mobility data shows that networks and connections play a significant role in who moves up. It's not just what you know, it's also who you know and what they make possible for you. So, here's what you do. Join one community, group, or network where the average participant earns significantly more than you do or has achieved something you want to achieve. This could be a professional association, an online community, a masterclass, a networking group, anything where you're around people operating at the level you're trying to reach. And yes, this might cost money. That $200 membership or a $500 course might feel expensive, but compare that to the cost of staying stuck at your current income level for another 5 years. What's the real expensive choice? You don't need to become best friends with everyone. You just need consistent exposure to different conversations, different expectations, different possibilities. Now, here's the thing. If you look at all 5 of these mistakes, there's a core pattern underneath them. Mistake 1 is about spending your raises instead of banking them. Mistake 2 is about staying comfortable instead of building valuable skills. Mistake 3 is about over-prioritizing safety over growth. Mistake 4 is about accepting limitations that aren't real. Mistake 5 is about staying in environments that reinforce your current level instead of pulling you forward. Every single one of these mistakes is a choice to prioritize comfort today over growth tomorrow. And look, I get it. Comfort is nice, comfort is safe, but comfort is also how you wake up 5 years from now in the exact same financial position, wondering where the time went. The Conference Board found that salary increases are basically flat at 3.5%, which barely beats inflation. If you're relying on just those standard raises, you're basically signing up to stay exactly where you are, adjusted for inflation, for your entire career. That's the real cost of these mistakes. Not that you'll become poor, but that you'll stay stuck. Same income bracket, same stress level, same limitations, just older. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one of these mistakes, just one, the one that hit hardest when you were watching this video, and commit to fixing it over the next 90 days. Not all 5, not eventually, one mistake, 90 days, specific action steps. If it's lifestyle inflation, set up that automatic transfer today for 50% of your next raise or any extra income that comes in. If it's skill stagnation, identify one high-income skill and block out 5 hours this week to start learning it. If it's the emergency fund paralysis, set your target at $1,500 and start building your income simultaneously. If it's the income ceiling mindset, find those 5 people who've achieved what you want and study their path. If it's the proximity problem, join one community this month where people are operating at the level you're trying to reach. Here's what I promise you. If you fix just one of these mistakes, your financial situation will look noticeably different 90 days from now. Not dramatically different, not quit your job and retire different, but noticeably better. You'll have momentum, you'll have progress, you'll have proof that you're not stuck. And once you hit your first $1,000 in your savings accounts, things will change dramatically. Want to know how? Watch this video.